Hi, today I'm paying homage to the Moog Labyrinth and having a look at Ableton to see what is possible in terms of generative sequencing in combination with the Ableton instruments. What we have here playing is a series of triggers. They are controlled by this function here, which is called rhythm in Ableton. So when you open a new clip, generate a new clip, you would typically have a view something like this, I guess. But if you click to the right here in this box, you have a generative pattern generator called rhythm, and that is generating these patterns here, a 1-bar loop, and we can generate various patterns with different densities of notes. I'll leave a link to a video. I made a previous video. I'm not going to go too deeply into rhythm. I made a short overview in another video. I'll leave a link below if you're not sure how rhythm works. But quite simply, we can change the density of the notes. As we change the density of the notes, we can increase the number of steps. 16. Let's go up here. 16, 16. We have a full bar of 16th notes. As we reduce this, it increases the number of patterns, possibilities basically, with this. So we can move through these. Let's go down to 12 notes. We have 1,364 variations. So using rhythm, I'm able to generate these these patterns. I have another function here in the instrument rack that I've built, which if I just open this quickly, I can show you. We're making use again, something I've made use of in a lot of my videos, the expression control in the increment mode to generate pitches, and these triggers effectively, we'll show you quickly. These generate triggers which are then converted to pitches and are then locked into quantized to a scale and then are used to control the instrument here. So we have the pattern generation here. We also have, with this expression control, the possibility to generate triggers at different tones. As you see, I increase this step number. We see we have different triggers going off here. Always playing the same note until I adjust the output range here. If I adjust this with the note variation, then we start to open this gate up and allow different pitches swinging around this C3 value here. So I have 1%, if I go up to 4%, and then I have the maximum range of notes. Okay, I'll also leave a link to this function here, how this is constructed and how this works in detail, also in the description, if you're interested to see how this, because I'm not going to go into these too much, just want to really concentrate on what you can get out of here. So as you see, I'll close this up again, we have a way here of generating patterns, and we have a way down here of generating the tones that are played by these patterns. The beauty of it all then is, if we combine these, reduce the number of notes. Let's go to 5 steps. So 5 steps means that it'll play 5 different tones. Every time we get 5 triggers, it plays 5 new tones and then resets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Reset. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Reset. So we have a way of generating tones, and we have a way of generating patterns. Go down to 7. Of course, we could always, if we wanted to, if we didn't want to have 16 beats, we could grab this here. Let's pull it across here. What have we got? 4, 5. So there's a huge amount of variety available in terms of pattern generation, and with the tones, we open this up even more. The possibilities. Okay, maybe I'll explain then what else is going on in this rack. Drop that down. Pull that back up. Okay, like in the Moog Labyrinth, you have the possibility to affect the synthesizer. We have here a single oscillator in analog which I'm using. I have some various effects and some other stuff I'll explain later on. So we have control over one oscillator in analog. We can control the oscillator shape here. You see it change. Square, we can change the pulse width. Go to noise, go to sine. So we have a range of tones. We have amp decay. We have control of the filter. Let's go to we can morph between different filter types. We open the auto filter up here. We can morph between low pass, band pass and high pass. We have control over the envelope. We can also control this with an LFO here. This is in, I have it set to musical intervals, so that's 8 bars. We can change the say quarter notes. We can modulate the filter. And we also have a thing here which I've called funk depth, which is connected to this LFO, which affects some various settings. Actually, it affects amp decay. Let's turn it on. The rate is also musical notations. It's quite interesting that in Ableton you can set this one, you actually see the musical intervals, but for some reason on the LFO you just get a number. I don't know why that is. This is actually also set to musical intervals. It should also give me the quarter notes, half notes, but it's one of those quirks. But anyway, it's controlling amp decay. You'll see that start to swing here. It's also controlling PWM, so if I put this to 75, we'll start to affect the PBM, and a little bit of glide time in analog here. And I say I can affect the rate of this here if I want it faster or slower, over 8 bars. You can see the rate here, 32 bars, sorry. Okay, so this is what's going on in the synthesizer side of things. Maybe I should just show you again these final controls here, the final macros. We have control over the scale. At the moment I'm in a B minor. Everything that comes in from the pitch is quantized into the correct scale here. What's generated by the expression controlling the pitch, they come in, they're changed to match the scale. Here we're in B minor. I can change the bass. A minor, I can change the scale, play with different scales. So there's a vast amount of musical possibilities here. Go back to a minor. A vast amount of musical possibilities. which allow you to play around. So let's have a go, see if we can make something very quickly. Turn this off for a second. Now, the Moog Labyrinth has two sequences that run and allow you to generate these. Let's go with that. So quite simply, you just open a new channel, Evolver 2 with another Evolver, and then you have your two generators. Now I've got this transposed by 12 semitones. And here again, I can change the pattern. One thing you have to be careful with, and I explain this in the video I'll link using Rhythm, is this, for some reason, this pattern generator isn't linked to a particular clip or channel. It's actually universal, it's across. So if I go Evolver 1, we'll see we're on 2979 here, 2979 if I go to Evolver 2. So if I change these values, then I can never remember, unless I made a note of them, what I had here, which is a bit quirky again. It would have been nice if this was completely independent and I could, but it doesn't matter. You can, as I say, we'll stay on the bass now, see what we can make with the bass. Just keep moving the notes around. So you find something you like. Just a playground. And then of course you have reverb, delay, you can add effects you want. Just add a beat, I guess. Okay, I think you get the idea. Hopefully it's understandable. Let's have a look how this is actually put together. I've kept the original instrument rack simply because it's got the macro name, saves a little bit of time. Instrument racks are found here in the instruments, and you just select it and drag it in or drag it over here and it'll create one for you. We're going to need then to begin the analog synthesizer. We'll drop that in and we'll set this up quickly. We only need one oscillator. So we'll turn oscillator 2 off. We don't need the filter, we'll be using external filters. We need to glide on and I set it to 20%, but all these values are subjective, you can play around. I've also had here in the oscillator section, I had the sub level up around 80. Adds a nice bassy tone to the instrument. Just have a look, anything else we need? I think that's good. Okay, we can now add in the MIDI sections, which we find in MIDI effects here. We'll need the expression control, beginning, and a way of generating pitch values from the expression control, the pitch generator, and finally to quantize it to a scale, the scale. Let's set these up quickly. We need the expression control. We have to go to increment at the bottom, and we need to set this to bipolar, this to 0%, and the random to 1%, or as low as it goes. Now I need to map these. We have the output range, which is the note vary, I've called that variance. We'll map that, and the number of steps, we'll map that to step numbers. Now all these values, macro mappings, I'll put a screenshot up at the end so you can see the values I've used, save you if you didn't catch them during the video. So for here, the step number, I've used 16. This here, the note vary is very small, so that we don't get a very 0 to 4%, so we don't get a very wide range of tones swinging around that C3 I was using as a trigger. If this value is greater, then we'll get excuse me, higher numbers, higher tones, very high tones, so we want to keep it in a small range, so I've kept it at 4. So the expression control is set up. The pitch, we don't have to do anything apart from connect it to the expression control, so we'll map that here to pitch. That's done, those are connected. And finally the scale, we can close these now. The scale we need to map to our macros. We'll map, user is the scale type, the name of the scale, we'll map that here, and one here, macro 12, is the fundamental tone, so we'll map that here. So that's all set up as well. Close that. Analog, we've got a couple more things to do, we'll come back to that. Let's get the filter in, which is under audio effects, and I was using the auto filter, and we'll drop the LFO on the end while we're here as well. So let's concentrate on the auto filter. We map here the frequency, filter frequency, then the resonance, filter resonance. We need to actually change it. I'll have to come out of that very quickly, and we need to select here the morph filter. Let's go back into mapping, map the morph here, and finally the filter envelope amount here we can map. Then we have the LFO rate, which again we have to come out. You have to be very careful, need to have that in musical intervals. It's best to do this outside the mapping, otherwise it doesn't map properly. So let's go back in there. So that's in intervals now. So the rate we can map here, and then the amount, which is the depth, here. So I think that is now set up. Yeah, we have control over that. And these values here. Okay, so that's set up. Let's get the LFO set up then. Perhaps actually we'll finish analog, that might be better, because we have some mapping here for the amp decay. So we need to click on amp 1 here, and we want to map decay and release to one macro control, the amp decay. So let's map those, decay and release. Map those here. I have some settings for these. So I think they were similar to, I took the value at least for the decay from the Moog Labyrinth. So we have 10 milliseconds, 0.01, and for the 5 seconds for the max. And for the envelope release, I use 5 and 0.5, 500 milliseconds. That's all okay. So that one's mapped as well. What else do we have here? We have the pulse width modulation. We go to our oscillator section here, oscillator 1, and map the pulse width here. And finally the oscillator shape here, click on that. That's all set up, those are set up. Filter, so we just need the transpose here, which I believe is pitch. So we click on the pitch symbol and set that there. Now this was set to -24 in my case, plus 24. That's the range I chose for the transposition. That's done. What else do we have? Bass transposer. So we just need to set up the LFO now, so we can close this. We'll keep analog open. We're going to need that because one of the mappings is to here, to the glide time. Okay, so let's set up the LFO, put that on 100%. Musical intervals here. We can map this one here to, let's have the PWM first, pulse width modulation. Now we need to click here and we get another selection here. Let's change these to 100. We will map this second one, the second value, to the amp decay. And finally we'll map the third one to the glide time here. Those three are mapped. I believe I have the amp decay at 50 actually. Might have to check that, I'll have a look. I think that might be the value there. Okay, so they're set up. These we just need to close the analog now. Now we just need to map these two controls, which is the rate here and the depth here, funk depth. That's done. Okay, let's just have a look at our values. Transpose 24, steps 1 to 16, no variance 0 to 4, that's correct. The funk depth I only had at 40%. LFO depth 0 to 30, that's okay. Frequency and decay. Okay, so that's all set up. As I say, I'll make a screenshot of this, put it at the end. So mapping is done. That should hopefully be everything. We can have a listen, see what's coming through. Turn this down. What do we have here? Let's see if we get anything sensible. Oh, there you go. Now you just have to click this save icon here and this will save into your user library here. You can save this instrument, you don't have to rebuild it, and then you can drag it once you have it here. Let's have a look, user library. Here it appears under presets, instruments, instrument rack, and here we have the evolver. So that means I could, in theory, just drag a new version in here and I have a second evolver as, okay, I think you get the idea. Delete that one. Okay, so that's it. There's nothing else to do, just to go and experiment, have some fun, I think. Okay, thank you for watching. My name's Andrew. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have some other ideas on my channel. You can go and have a look if you like. Enjoy your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.